Hi, Olivia Ledre here, and basically this is my first video on this channel, to be honest. But here's the thing: I basically went back to Wattpad recently. I had to leave for a few years because of a cursed story, because I was writing a story and a lot of weird things were happening. But that's a topic for another video. But I basically went back to writing because I wanted to feel better, right? Because I was feeling really stressed, and unfortunately, my life isn't exactly where I wanted it to be. So I have a lot of negative situations around me as well. And to top it off, I'm also like really, really poor to the point where, like, you know, so much so that I am not making these videos, at least these first ones, I'm not making it on something that I own. Actually, this computer, for example, that I'm using for the video is my brother's. And thank goodness he is nice enough to let me use his computer because my brother's awesome, by the way. But like, I needed to find myself again. You know what I mean? For a lot of reasons, which I most likely will make clearer in my kind of autobiography that I'm writing, because it's kind of my diary that I'm writing in Wattpad as well. And here are some things you guys should know. If you came from Wattpad, hi, this is my face. If you didn't, thank you for stopping to listen anyway. A lot of my videos won't be scripted, by the way, because I talk a lot and I get distracted a lot, and I think it would be very hard for me to follow an exact script. So if it sounds like sometimes I randomly ramble, it's because of that, because I'm just saying things that come to my mind in the moment I'm feeling it, okay? But basically, my stories on Wattpad will most likely have a lot of rom-coms, and I'm not sure if I'm going to make any horror themes or anything of the sort, but for now, what I'm positive of is I'm going to be writing my autobiography, which I normally just write when I'm more stressed out, and some rom-coms, because it makes me feel better. Are my stories 100% like, oh my gosh, she's such a good writer? No idea. I'm just doing it to relieve a bit of my stress because it makes me feel better. And I sort of reread my own tales so I can sort of, remember where I am. But yeah. The first story I'm posting currently is this one. I don't know if you guys see it, which is basically a reincarnation kind of thing, which I started to create because of the fact that I kind of am very like, my guilty pleasure is like Chinese and Asian dramas. Specifically, recently I've been really caught up in watching the short dramas, which is not of the same quality as the actual official, big dramas. But I don't know, it's good for a laugh and it helps me relax as well. I've also been reading a lot of Chinese novels, the translated versions, of course. I've also been reading a lot of Chinese novels, and so my basic inspiration for like the story that I've been writing is the Chinese novels. So if you say, "Oh, this sounds like a trope I've seen before," it's because you have. You probably have. Anyways, a lot of things that I write as well are a part of made-up stories that I created in my head in my youth. Because I had a little bit of an issue growing up where I would dissociate. I would turn off my brain and I would see images and stories that my brain would create for me. And a lot of times they would follow like a narrative. It was basically, I don't know if anybody else has this, but it's basically when your mind sort of has a movie playing. Because some people think in words, some people think in images, some people think in both. And I think in both. So when I'm thinking, I am seeing vivid images while I'm also hearing the audio. So it was not uncommon for me to literally not be here. I am not here, you know. And it happened a lot when I was younger, especially in situations where I'm stressed out or where I've had like a really tough week or something. I will literally, my brain will deactivate and go into this world of mystical and rom-coms and stuff where a story will play out as a movie and I'll watch my own movie that I've created in my mind, if that makes sense. This video is basically just me rambling about why I came into Wattpad again and just talking. So if you're into that, but anyways, so a lot of the stories I'm going to write, and a lot of the stories that are the drafts are still in my, drafts, are things that played in my mental movie theater at some point in my life. This one that I'm posting now, it is a story that played in my mental theater a few months ago, probably about a year ago even. And I never got down to writing it because normally they're just stories that played out in my mind. But I will say this, there's a very strange occurrence that happens with me when it comes to my mental theater of sorts. For example, if it's a more realistic story, like got rich, but it's more realistic about how the main character got rich and stuff, I will imagine myself in that position. I'll imagine myself. Like most people do when they daydream, they imagine themselves. But if I am thinking of a mystical realm or someplace with magic or kingdoms or vampires and everything of the sort, I cannot actually fully imagine myself in that situation because I think my brain just goes, well, that's a lie. You're never going to be there. That doesn't exist. Stop being crazy. But I feel it's just something that my brain does. It doesn't put me in situations in my mental theater where it's too unrealistic. So instead, my brain creates alternative characters, specifically one. I don't know why, but my brain specifically latched onto one specific character that is basically the mold that my brain uses for every single made up story that plays in my head. Of course, when I'm going to write these stories, I'm most likely going to change her appearance when I write it down because, the same character in multiple romance stories will probably feel like one, either an alternative universe, or two, that this girl has a straight up harem, male harem or female even. But I will try to write. If I don't post as frequently as I, should be posting, let's say every 2 days, which is what I want to post, it's either because I didn't manage to use the computer on the day, or I just had a writer's block, or I just forgot. So, yeah. My videos aren't going to be the best quality, by the way, because, again, I'm using something that isn't exactly mine. And also, I don't have exactly a bunch of equipment or anything. I'm basically sitting on the floor of a salon, little salon. So, yeah. But, anyways, there are just two stories that I posted for now, which is my diary and that story, The Villain's Got His Eyes on Me, if I'm not mistaken. If you happen to come across one of my stories, or if by the time you see this video I have posted more stories, please, please, please feel free to give your opinions, because I really feel better when I see people interacting with me. I do not like too much silence. You know what I mean? I like that interaction. I like opinions. Maybe not everyone's going to agree on something. Maybe someone's going to think, oh, this story's funny, or this story's horrible. But I really do like opinions because it sort of like gives me the feeling of a community. You know what I mean? It gives me the feeling that, okay, someone's watching, someone has actually seen this. Because when it comes to like seeing the views, okay, I know someone looked at it, but I don't know if I got a reaction out of that person. You know what I mean? And most of the things I'm going to write is mostly just for my own entertainment. Like I said, it's mostly just for me to feel better, to calm down, especially due to situations in my daily life. So, I don't really take myself too seriously. So I don't really feel like you guys should see me as like, oh, she's a professional writer, because I'm not. And I'm pretty sure my writing is simple enough to make that obvious. But like I was saying, I'm not a professional writer. I don't earn money with this. The same way that I'm not a YouTuber per se. I don't earn anything with the videos that I'll be posting. I just do it for fun and because I just like to talk. I like to talk. I'm a rambler. Okay. But anyways, please do give me feedback. I feel like I will do some videos talking about curiosities or things I learned while writing, because I randomly gain curiosities and start researching a bunch of random shit. I think I can curse. Yeah, I think I'm a cursor. I'm a cursor. Um, Random stuff. So yeah, there may be some videos about random things that I caught on during a writing process, or like a chapter that I researched because I didn't want to, get lost or write something that wasn't too crazy, despite writing a lot of fiction. And um, as for the amount of stories I may be writing, there are a lot of drafts. I'm not gonna lie, I have a lot of drafts. I think I have like 12 drafts. Not like 12 drafts in one story, like 12 drafts of summaries for possible stories. It's just that I haven't figured out how to go with it yet. There will most likely also be stories that follow the almost to the T, the exact same storyline. Not the exact same story per se, but the same trope. You know what I mean? For example, reincarnation, rebirth. Let's see what else. Maybe a revenge story. You know, um, Hidden identities, because I really do like the hidden identity trope. I really do like it. I like the gender benders, but I don't find them that often. I love gender benders, but I can't find it for some reason. I can't find novels and shit with gender bender. There's very few novels that have gender benders where the girl pretends to be a guy or the guy pretends to be a girl for a period of time. I can't find them, so it's one of the reasons why the first story I'm publishing is going to involve a bit of gender bender, because I can't find it. So why not create it? Um, Also, another thing I may be posting in my channel in general I'll definitely be talking about myself a lot because I like to talk. I don't know if you guys noticed this. I've been talking for 12 minutes now, but I like to talk. But I'll most likely also make videos about like random knowledge, folklore, because I don't feel like there's a lot of videos in English talking about my country's folklore or other folkloric creatures that I find very interesting. Um, as for if I will have any relatives appearing in my videos and such, most likely no, because firstly, I am doing this mostly by myself and my family doesn't know about it, with the exception of like my brother, because he knows about my wattpad. but I'm not like he doesn't know I have a channel. He just knows that I have a wattpad, you know, because I told him. But like my mother, grandmother, family members, I do not tell them that I did not tell them that I was doing this, that I was starting to try to write stories, or that I was going to be posting on YouTube. Some of them know that I had a TikTok, which somehow I managed to lose not the Wi-Fi. I managed to lose like my password for all of my TikToks, so that's why I didn't post anything. But anyways, my family's not really gonna know about this because, firstly, if they know about my YouTube, they most likely know that I have an autobiography being written as well, and I don't really feel like having family pressure, you know, because like it really sucks. And a lot of my family members don't understand or, care about my interests, which is sad, but it's life. Uh, for example, I really do love romance, rom coms, and cultural curiosities, also folklore and tales like Thor, let's see, which is the Nordic tales, Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, Brazilian folklore. You know what I mean? There's like thousands different tales with very interesting stories, and I just really like that part of humanity. I like seeing the folklore, the tales, the myths that originated. But to a lot of my family, that's seen as something very dumb. You know, so if I'm gonna be talking about it, I'm not really gonna be like bringing my family into it, especially since I'm mostly gonna be talking in English, and in my family there are a very limited amount of people that actually speak English. So much so that in my house, the only person that speaks English per se, 100%, is me. I'm the only one that speaks English. My sister does not speak English. My brother understands English, but I haven't seen him speaking it in a long while, so I'm not sure if he can still speak it. My mother does not speak English. My father's somewhere in the world. He does not speak English. He's somewhere, you know. Um, because like he doesn't even live with me, so I can't really say. Uh, and basically, I live in a town where nobody else speaks English as well, so I can't really, even if I wanted to in the future, be like, oh, this is my sister. We're going to be doing this or that. My sister doesn't speak English, so it'll be very difficult for her to do a video with me. So my content is basically going to be just me for now. Okay. So yeah, I basically this video is just me rambling. It's just me talking about like how I'm going to post again and saying hi. It's just my hi to you guys. Okay. So yeah, if you guys have any questions in the future, please do feel free to leave it in the comments or say something because I will respond to as much as I can. I am not sure if I'm going to have many viewers. I'm not sure if my Wattpad stories are going to, have a lot of viewers as well. But it helps me feel a little lighter to be able to talk, and it helps me feel better to create, stories and universes. So yeah, I'm basically doing it for myself. But if in the future, for some reason, people do like my content or do like my stories, that would be awesome as well. You're very, very, very welcome to accompany me on my journey. And I think that's it. So, bye.